Delve into art, architecture, and design with Srijan Design Academy SDA and thrive in exams, college, and career. Welcome to SDA. Figure-based aptitude. Topic 02. Number of squares. Relevant for exams like NATA, JEE P2, NID, CEED and UCEED.
Hello everyone. Today we will be doing number of square. So it's the exercise basically about counting the squares. When we look at one square, it is pretty much clear that this is 1. But what if we start drawing certain lines within it? What will happen? If I draw just one line, what is happening? We are getting two rectangles, one on this side and another one on this side. So we never get a square when we divide it into two parts. We get when we divide it into something like this, 4 parts. So what happens in this case? We get 1, 2, 3 and 4 squares, and 5th is the larger one. So overall how much we are getting? We are getting something 1, that is the bigger one, plus 4. If I understand this, it is nothing but 1 plus 2 square, and that becomes 5 overall. Let's apply the similar application in another question. What if we further divide it? So when we further divide it, so what we do? We do 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 2 horizontal lines, 2 vertical lines. Now how many squares are there? So if I start counting the smaller ones, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Now this we have got. Similarly, I'll draw the same figure here just to understand another thing. That is, if I draw this grid, what other squares we can figure out? So we can also figure out something like this. Okay, so that is 1. Similarly, we can figure out this. That is 2. Similarly, we can figure out this. And the last one. I hope everyone can see this. So what happens? This becomes 9. That is nothing but 3 square. This becomes 4. That is nothing but 2 square. And this is the bigger one. That is 1, nothing but 1 square. Overall, how much is this? It is 9 plus 4 plus 1. And this is equals to 14. So our answer is here. Now, similarly, if it is a 4 by 4 grid, then what is going to happen? I think by now every one of us has the answer. So let me draw the 4 by 4 grid and then we'll have the answer for that one. So 4 by 4, answer is very simple here. 4 square, 3 square, 2 square plus 1 square. That is nothing but 16 plus 9 plus 4 plus 1, and that is 30. Similarly, for 5 by 5 grid, we can add another 25. For 6 by 6 grid, we can add another 36, and that's how we can get our answers. Now, so far, these questions were clear when we were drawing vertical and horizontal line. Now, all of you remember in triangles, horizontal was a different problem and vertical was a different problem, but here it is now. So, what will be different here? Obviously, when we do all these questions, there will be something different. So, that different thing is diagonal lines. Now, if I draw a diagonal here, what happens? We get 2 triangles. We don't get a square. So that means that is definitely not the line. So what can be the line? So when I attach all the midpoints and form something like this, this is definitely a square. So if I get this figure, how many squares are there? So there are 2 squares. 1, which is this square, and 1, which we are forming something like this. Okay. So overall, in this case, we are getting 2 squares. Let's move to another case. What if we start doing something like this? So I draw 1 horizontal line, 1 vertical, and then I do this. This is also very well understood, and then I do this. What happens now? Now there are 2 layers of figure that we need to understand. What is one layer? One layer is simply this figure, which is nothing but in combination with this is 5. Let's see what is another figure. Another figure is nothing but a diagonal square within a square, which has again divisions. So this overall is also 5. Therefore, the simple problem is 10. Okay, there are 2 layers in it. So we just need to separate the layers. We need to figure as if it is imposed on the other figure. Let's move to another problem. What if the diagonal lines are there? What if the horizontal and vertical lines are there? What if the connected lines are also there? Okay, again, nothing different in this case. Very simply, we can see this is a square and these are the lines. Okay, another set of lines playing no role in it, and therefore those squares are of no value. So again 10 will be the answer in this case. Let's do another problem where we can have more lines and still more diagonals. Okay, so what will be the answer in this case? Again, a very simple problem. We can see this figure as a separate figure, and we can see the underlying figure as a simple 4x4 grid, and this is a 2x2 grid. So for a 4x4 grid, the answer is 30. For a 2x2 grid, the answer is 5. How the 30 comes up? This is nothing but 16 plus 9 plus 4 plus 1. How this 5 comes up? This is nothing but 4 plus 1. So if I sum up everything, the answer is 35. So even a very complicated question like this will look very simple once you start understanding how the number of squares can be identified. Now problems can be little complicated, which we need to understand in most of the cases. For example, so I draw a vertical line, I draw a horizontal line, I draw another vertical line, and I draw another horizontal line. So far, because we were knowing the figures, it was easier. Now what we do? So let's try to understand what we can identify. So first we can identify this grid. Okay, so if I draw the same grid here with the combination of this, you can simply say this is 5. Okay, let me draw another thing, which is this part. So what is happening in this part? Now this part, if I consider, okay, because this is already counted here, we won't count, we will just count 4. Okay, so we are getting 4 here. Now this is also square here. Okay, most of the people will miss this square. So this is something that you need to understand, because when we form 1 by 1 square, we form 2 by 2, we form 3 by 3, we form 4 by 4 squares. So this is a 3 by 3 square, which most of the people will miss, and you need to make sure that you don't miss this one. So when you don't miss this one, what do you get? You get 1 here. Now what is the final answer after adding all these? It's 10. Okay, so even a complicated question like this, we have an answer. This is something that you need to do. Okay, let's look at another problem. So I draw one line, I draw another line, I draw one more line, I draw one more line, but I just do the bottom one, I don't do the top one. Now what happens? You need to revise the same problem which we have faced earlier. Okay, so there was a very visible grid of this one. With the combination of this, it is 5. Clear? Now here we see, when we look at the bottom part, okay, what all we can see and how we can get the answer. So we can see this as a complete square. You can also see this as a complete square. And at the same time, there is something in common also. This is also a square. Okay. So while counting the smaller ones, we make sure that we don't miss anything. Okay. Or we don't overcount. That is a common mistake that most of us do. So what we can see, the blue ones are counted here. The blue ones are counted here. Okay. Only the red one is missing here. So simply I can say this is 4, the blue one, 1, the red one, 4, the blue one, and that becomes 9. So everything is counted. These triangles are also counted. The bigger one is also counted. Now what is remaining? There is something other than that remaining. I told you there will be a 3 by 3 grid. So this is a square. At the same time, this is also a square. Okay. So how many are these? These are simply 2 squares.
Identify the missing triangle in the last question and provide the final answer in comments. For more questions, drop a comment on our video. Subscribe us to Thrive in Exams, College, and Career.